You crazy? 1 week. 1 lousy week. Don't be a fool.
I've had it. Mr. Grady and them want to send me back to my mother, and there's just no way I'm going there.
Okay, where you gonna go then?
My father wants me to go with him. You know, Steve, he'd let me do drugs. He wouldn't turn me in like my mom did. And you should see the fancy pad he lives in.
Well, when did you last hear from your old man?
All the time. Now, you gonna help me or not?
Look, we've been in juvie for a year.
They'll hear us.
They're still in the dining room. But look, when they start this psychodrama thing, they're gonna get a head count. Now, if you want to leave, why don't you split after that?
I don't want anyone messing with my head. Going home to my father, who loves me. Are you gonna help me out of this window?
Yeah. I still think you're a fool.
Insight. Stories of modern man's search for meaning, freedom, love, insight.
Okay, everybody, listen up. The reason we're all here this weekend is because you're all going to be going home to your parents after having spent quite some time at the hall. We thought it might be a good idea for you to take a look at some of the problems you might be facing. Now, I want you to meet John Phillips over here. He's going to take you through something called psychodrama. I know you've heard a little bit about John, but I just wanted to add that he's a good friend of mine and a man to be trusted, okay? Okay, John.
Thanks, Jill. Hello. First, I'd like to say that I've really looked forward to meeting all of you ever since Jill invited me. One of the reasons is that both your probation officers were able to show me your backgrounds, and I think that I can identify with some of you. The other reason is that I like the idea that you've all been hand-picked for this because you've all done a lot of group therapy before, but you've never done psychodrama. First of all, just let me explain a little bit about what psychodrama is. It's a way for people to understand a situation by acting out that situation. For example, if I'm having trouble with my boss and I don't know how to talk to him, then I would have someone play the role of my boss, and then I'd talk to him. And then with the feedback from the group, maybe I could figure out what to do. I know I've had a lot of, well, some problems of my own, and sometimes psychodramas have helped me to work them out. But I don't want to lecture. I'd like to get into something right now. I'd like to talk about what happened to Michelle. I think Michelle split for a reason. Now, you all know her. Can anybody here think of a reason why Michelle would run away with only a week left before she goes home? Hello?
Hi. Well, the police made out a report, but that'll be the end of it. They don't care. They probably won't even look for her. Why don't we go look for her? She can't have gotten far.
And where do you suggest we look?
Well, we've got to do something.
No, it would just disturb the rest of the group. Besides, she's already long gone, and it's not our job, Grady. You know that.
But she is our responsibility.
Grady, the reason you're so uptight is because it's one of your wards that escaped.
Yeah, listen, Mr. Grady, I think you've done all you can right now. Besides, I'd like to get started.
All right. But I want it on the record that I don't agree at all.
Okay, we were talking about why Michelle split. Anybody got any ideas? How about you?
Doesn't bother me. I didn't like her anyway.
Frank, I thought you two were tight.
Well, not really. She liked to talk at me a lot. I didn't dig it. Well, every time I wanted to say something, she'd start talking about herself, yakking away.
Yeah. Well, can you think of a reason why Michelle might want to run away?
She's always talking about her old lady, bad rapping her. She just don't want to go home. That part I do remember because I got the same thing happening to me.
Yeah? What's that?
Oh, my old lady. She's the whole reason I'm in this hall in the first place.
Ah, Frank, you're knife a guy. You hold up a gas station and then you blame it on your mother?
Hey, man.
I mean, how many times have we heard this? Every time we're in a group.
Hey, man, you don't know my mother like I know my mother.
Well, what's your mother like, Frank? I mean, can you describe her for us?
Well, she's nice enough, you know, to other people. But she hassles me. She gets in to lecture me. Everything I do, she finds something to lecture about, and it always ends up with her shouting. Hey, man, I thought we were talking about Michelle.
Well, we were, but now we're into your thing. Listen, would you come on up here? I'd like to work with you for a while. Okay? Just take a seat right here. All right. And what's your name?
Janet?
Janet. If it's okay with you, I'd like you to play Frank's mother.
Why Janet?
Okay? Okay, and I mean, I know this is going to seem a little awkward at first, but there are no holes barred. You can just do or say whatever you want to say, okay? And sometimes I might ask you to be another person. And if I do, then you just say whatever you think that person would say, okay?
Now, how's Janet gonna be my mother?
You'll see. Oh, and at times I might say something myself. So if what I say is right, then just go with it. And if it's wrong, then just tell me, okay? So Janet, you just be as free as you want. You just say what you think Frank's mother would say, okay? And don't worry about being right or wrong or anything.
I just pretend to be Frank's mother?
Right, whatever,
Just-
okay?
Sure. Well, what makes you think I want you to come home anyway? I mean, you knife some guy, you hold up a gas station, and then you blame everything on me, Frank.
That's just what she said.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's very good. And so what do you want to say to her? Okay, maybe I can help you get started, all right? Okay. You know, Mom, the one thing that really gets me about you is...
Well, it's not just one thing, it's everything.
To her.
Well, the way you look, the way you act, the way you talk to me. You're never home. It's your fault I'm the way I am, and it's your fault my father left. He couldn't stand living with you, and neither can I. It's just you make me mad there's no talking to you.
I'm sick of you, Frank. I mean, you never even try to listen to me. It's just blame.
You don't understand. You don't even try. I'm sick of you. No wonder I'm the way I am.
You accuse me of everything, and everything you accuse me of, I could accuse you of too.
Now listen. Hey, man, I don't want to do this anymore. You see that? That's just like my mother.
Okay, good. Well, wow. Frank, you just laid some very heavy feelings on your mother here. So I'd like you to switch roles now, okay? And chairs. Frank, you now be your mother, and Janet, you be Frank, all right? All right, and Janet, I want you to use some of the phrases that Frank just used, okay? So you are now Frank.
Listen, I'm sick of you, you know. You don't even try, you know. The reason I get back at you is because everything I do is your fault.
Listen here, young man, that's no way to talk to your mother. I'm getting sick and tired of you coming in late home at night.
You're the reason that my father left, you know. And you're always shoving religion down my throat. And you're fat, and you're sloppy, and you don't pay any attention to me because you're always so unhappy.
Hey, man, I never talked to my mother like that.
Yeah, hey, Janet. That sounded like you were talking to your own mother just now. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so.
You know, Janet sounds like she's really into it, Frank. I'd like to work with her for a minute, if you don't mind, okay?
Sure, man. I got nothing more to say.
Yeah, we'll get back to you. So, Janet, what are you thinking about right now?
I was just thinking about, me and Michelle were talking the other day about how we didn't want to go home, you know? I mean, neither one of us want to go back to our moms. We have something in common, you know? They both make us feel no good. I can get guilty just looking at my mother.
Yeah? Why?
Oh, you know, she's always talking about God, about how he's going to punish me because I'm so bad.
Janet, I'm really glad you're talking about this.
Janet, do you mind if Jill plays your mother?
No, I mean, she's seen her in operation.
Okay, and would anybody like to play God?
Yeah, I would.
I figured Steve would volunteer.
All right, Steve. Yeah, Steve, stand right here at the edge of the table. And Jill, You sit here right in front of Steve. Okay. Now, Janet, Steve is now God. Jill is now your mother. And I want you to say whatever you feel like saying to either one of them, okay? And we'll just see where it takes us.
Sure.
Maybe you could start by telling your mother exactly how it feels to have God shoved down your throat all the time. Okay, Jill, maybe you'd like to start. You know her mother pretty well, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And Steve, you can say anything you want to anytime, because you are God, after all. Okay. Jill?
You never do anything right. You never help me. You just run around with lousy people and you're always getting into trouble.
Is that the way your mother talks to you, Jenna?
That's the way my mother talks to me.
You don't understand me at all.
You're sick and you're crazy.
That may be, but at least I'm not a tramp like you are. I don't get into jail for hooking and for drugs. God will never forgive you unless you get down on your knees and beg him.
Well, I don't know if I wanted to do that. But you've got to start liking yourself. Stop sleeping around.
I don't think I like where this is going.
You never do like anything unless it's the way you want it. You don't want to do anything unless it's something you want to do. You never help me. You just try to get back at me. You're no good. You live a lousy life, and it's all because you shut God out of your life. But he'll take care of you. He sees everything you do, and he'll punish you. He'll take care of you for what you do to me.
No, I'm not! I'm sick of your God, your lousy God!
Hold on 1 minute. I never said I was like that. That's your mother talking.
Janet, I'd like you to switch roles with Steve and play God, if you don't mind. Okay? And Steve, would you play Janet? Jill, you're still the mother? On the table, please.
On the table.
All right, Janet. Tell us what kind of a God you are.
I am a righteous God and an all-knowing God, and I see everything you do, girl. So you better mind your mother.
Is that the kind of God your mother lays on you?
Yeah, that's the kind of God my mother lays on me.
Well, I'd like to know what God thinks about what Janet does to me, her mother.
You know, Jana wouldn't be in half as much trouble if it weren't for you. I mean, you're always blaming her for things that aren't her fault.
Like what?
Like your husband running away. It's not true. It just wasn't Janet's fault. And you're always laying your own guilt on her head, and I don't like that. I'm not that kind of God.
What kind of God are you, Janet?
Look, I'm not God. I don't know what kind of God I am.
Okay, Janet. Go back to being yourself, would you please? Steve, would you be God again? And Jill? You're still mother? All right. Steve, now, you tell us what kind of a God you are.
I'm the kind of guy that's inside of you and me and everybody. And I like people. And I like people not because of what they do, but because of what they are. And I like to turn people on to life and help them kick their hang-ups and get free to love.
Right on.
And I don't like guilt any more than you do.
Then how come I always feel so guilty around you?
Because you've got a lot to feel guilty about. Half the reasons you do the crazy things you do is to get back at your mother. And that's no way to do things. The guilt you feel is real, and I don't lay it on you.
See? You should feel guilty, just like I said.
Hold on a minute now. I'm God, and I say you're using me to get at your daughter.
Do you know what it's like to have her as a daughter? To go through what she puts me through?
All right. Hey, good, Steve. That's very good. Thank you, Jill. All right. All right. Janet, I'd like you to sit here, would you? Please. Okay. I would like you to be your mother now and tell us all about yourself.
You can't be my mother.
Well, that's a problem. See, that's a problem, because if you want to relate to anybody on any level, you have to know where they're coming from. So just put your feet up here and tell us all about your day from start to finish as your mother. You're just waking up in the morning? You can move around as much as you want to?
What time do you get up?
About 5 o'clock.
Do you go to work? What do you do?
Yeah, I go to work. I open up a store.
Okay, so you get out of bed, and what do you do?
I fix lunch for Janet and her sister Sue.
Why can't they fix their own lunches?
Well, you see, they don't have a father, so I have to be responsible. Super responsible. Then I have to catch a bus. I have to catch about 10 buses, you see, because I have to be at the store early. I have to open up, and I work really hard when I'm at the store. I have to make sure that everything is okay, you know? And then I go to my next job. And here at my next job, I'm a bookkeeper.
And what are you thinking about at this time of the day, Mrs. Warren?
Thinking about it. How hard it is to raise 2 daughters alone. About how guilty I feel. How lonely it is without a man. And I wish that Janet would understand me. I mean, she doesn't understand what it's like since my husband left. And I wish she would have her chores done. You see, she never has her chores done. She never does her chores when I tell her to do her chores.
And what time do you get home at night?
7:38.
Okay, so you're coming home after a hard day's work through this door. You take the handle and you open the door and walk in.
What's your day been like?
It's been a long day. And there's no man to come home to. And this place is a pigsty. God, I just feel tired. I just want to go to sleep.
Janet? What's happening?
Real funny. And I don't feel mad anymore. I feel bad. I feel like I hurt my mother. And I feel real scared that nothing's ever gonna change.
Not unless you're willing to see things through your mother's eyes a little more. Because if you're not, I can see you using her as an excuse to run away from yourself. Just like she uses God as a weapon against you.
I never thought of it that way.
I see you and your mother playing this game with each other. You getting into trouble all the time to make her feel bad and to make her feel miserable because she uses God to guilt trip you. It's a vicious circle. And nobody wins.
Yeah.
And all because you can't share the feelings that you both have about your father and her husband being gone. Okay. All right. Would anyone like to say anything at this point?
Yeah. I just want to say I feel good about what Janet's doing.
You feel good. You know, I've about had it up to here with your bull.
Hey, man, why don't you just stay off my back?
Wait a minute. Grady, what's happening with you?
Well, you know, I mean, I think it's good the kids are into this, and I understand its structure and its place and everything, but why do they have to cry? It's like you want them to. You're talking about games. I think this whole thing is a game.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about why are you coming down on Steve? I've appreciated Steve tonight and his participation. So, what's going on?
Well, no, hey, wait a minute. This isn't my marathon. And if there is anything between Steve and me, I don't think this is either the time or the place to discuss it. Period.
Tell him what's going on, Mr. Grady. And why don't you tell us all why you were treating me so bad for the last few weeks? And why don't you tell him why you tried to stop me from getting out? Go ahead, tell him.
Let's get the record straight, kid. I didn't say I was going to keep you at the hall any longer. What I did say was I was going to try and find a better place for you because I don't like the environment you're going back into. I feel that your mother is unfit to take care of you.
Wait, I'm confused. I am confused. Mr. Grady, I mean, it sounds like on the one hand you really care about Steve because you want him to go back to a good environment. And then you tell him he's full of bull? I mean, you know, it just seems like there's something going on here that's not being spoken about.
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know whether to let him go or not. This kid's a bit of a con artist, you know. There's some things he hasn't learned to deal with yet. Until he does learn to deal with them, I don't think he can make it out in the streets.
What things?
Speak up, Mr. Grady.
Like dealing with your father's death.
Hey, man, he's off the wall. I don't have to take that.
Is he right? Is he right?
No!
Well, see, I think he is, just by the way you're reacting. Okay, I'd like to try a little more psychodrama, okay? This time with Mr. Grady as your father.
Forget it, man. He's nothing like my father. My father...
Was what? Tell us, come on.
Might help to know that ever since his father's death, it's been all downhill. Auto theft, truancy, assault.
Is that true?
I guess so.
How did your father die?
He was shot by some uppity nigger. He used to own a store, and some dude came in and robbed him. He shot him just like that.
Wow. How did you feel about that?
What do you mean, how did I feel? I felt bad. Me and my father were tight.
Steve, why don't you let Mr. Grady play your father, okay? Even if he isn't exactly like him. All right with you, Grady?
Oh, come on, this is ridiculous.
No, Grady, please, have a seat. Now, Steve, why don't you tell your father here exactly what it's been like for you since he's died? Like, you know, I feel a lot of anger in me, Dad, because I feel like you left me alone with too much to handle.
Yeah, too much too early.
And I really miss you, Dad.
Yeah, man, and since you've been gone, there's a lot of bad things been happening. I mean, I feel like I gotta take care of a whole lot of things. Just because you let some fool blow you away.
As your father, Steve, I want
Well,
you
now
to know
hold
that...
it, Montgomery. I can play this game. As your father, I think you should be able to handle this like a man. You ought to do the best you can in everything. And I think you should work hard and stay out of trouble like me.
Yeah, you always told me that. And what did it do for you?
Yeah, right. And this anger that I feel just shows how much I really do miss you. Because I feel like I gotta be strong and tough all the time, just like you are.
You really know me.
Well, I just feel like Mr. Grady, like you're gonna miss Mr. Grady because he sort of has been like a father to you since you've been here.
Kinda.
Well, can you tell Mr. Grady that right to his face?
Yeah. Well, you know, Mr. Grady, you've been nice to me most of the time. And you've given me things and looked out for me. And I like the encouragement that you've given me.
And I feel like you really do care for me because up until a couple of weeks ago, you made the hall a home for me, and I needed that. And you were right, Mr. Grady. I have been avoiding the truth about my father.
He's right.
I want to share something with you, Steve. I know what it's like to lose a father. I lost my father when I was a kid. I care what happens to you, Steve, and I just don't want to see you run off like Michelle. She's not running off to her father, she's running off to a fantasy. She's not running to her father, she's running away from the mother.
No, that's not true! Mr. Grady's lying!
Michelle, come on.
You can't say that. You've got no right.
Yeah, but he's right, isn't he, Michelle, about your father?
It's okay.
You're right, Steve. I was afraid all this would come out. I just didn't want everybody to see me crying.
But why?
Because I'm scared.
Me too.
Hey, so am I sometimes.
Michelle, me too.
Hey, we all are.
You could have kept on running. I'm so proud that you came back.
You know, I mean, I know how easy it is for me to run away from reality, and I feel really good that we're facing ourselves, you know? Instead of projecting that it's the other guy's fault or being destructive because of guilt feelings or acting tough, you know? I mean, these are all cop-outs. Well, it's nice to have you back, Michelle.